Today on Lore 101, we're covering one of the single most important characters in the game Warframe, at least in terms of his impact on the world itself. That person being Elbrecht Entrati, aka the father of all void technology. But because I'm self-conscious about pronouncing the CHT in his name, I just don't have the throat for it even after 3 years of German, I shall henceforth refer to him as Big Al! No, this is not a University of Alabama reference. The Tenno and their powers? Thank Big Al. This weird fish brain thing? Thank Big Al. The hundreds of hours you've invested in this game? Thank your ADHD. Just like the Corpus vids, this is going to be a part 1 of 2, but not for the same reason. The Corpus had 2 parts because there was just so much information to go over. Big Al's story will be a 2-parter because I can't talk about the second half of his lore without explaining some other events. However, those events require me to explain the first half of his lore so that everything lines up, so that's what we're doing today. Without further ado, way back before Warframes and Space Moms, Big Al was at one point a very well-known Orokin scientist. The Orokin once again being the sci-fi space aristocrats that existed a long time ago and controlled everything and caused most every problem our characters encounter in the game. As mentioned in a previous video, the Orokin were pretty bad at taking care of the solar system they lived in, using up all of its resources, and eventually were like, we gotta do something about this. So they start brainstorming ways to make sure they can survive.
What if they just actually took care of the planets they already had?
Except that's when Big Al steps up and is like, hey, what if we used the Void? The Void being a parallel dimension in the Warframe universe where the laws of physics took a lunch break and never came back. Now, at this point in the story, the Orokin had never really done anything with the Void. They had never tried to access it or use it. They knew it was a thing because sometimes the Void would leak into our reality with small tears and random Void space storms, so like a Tuesday in Ohio, but the Orokin would always observe these events from afar. Big Al, on the other hand, knew the Void was wacky and theorized he could somehow use it to help propel Orokin technology to a point where interstellar colonization would be easy. So they could just go to a new solar system instead of fixing their own. Big Al devotes years of his life to this. However, with failure after failure, the Orokin eventually start to think it's just a pipe dream and kind of stop listening to him, which hurts a bit. To be fair, using the hyper-dangerous, unknowable space soup as a way to make spaceship go vroom does sound like something somebody would say after they've had a bit too much Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. But regardless, Big Al was listening to Parvos Granum's motivational playlist, so he kept at it, eventually creating something called the Wall of Lohk. This big gateway, described as the wall between worlds, would theoretically allow for travel into the Void. The day finally comes to test this bad boy out, but because most everyone had given up on Big Al at this point, the only people present for this are him, a couple of attendants, his daughter, she'll get her own video, as well as his cat, Kalimos. That's right, father of void technology and the Origin System's #1 cat dad. How does he do it? Big Al decides he's gonna be the one to cross the threshold into the void, partially because he was a good bit bitter at this point. As he himself states, driven by my humiliation, failure had made me bitter and reckless. I would dive into the depths myself to prove them all wrong. He then entered something called a Seraglass Bell. This was meant to be a protective vessel that would keep him safe in the void. He gave the signal, his daughter pulled the lever, and the wall opened. The light within the room shifted, space and time itself rippling outwards as the first portal to the void was formed. However, on today of all days, Big Al's iron deficiency struck. The sight of the gate opening was so mesmerizing that he lost his balance and stumbled inside the Seraglass Bell, causing the bell to hit the side of the gate instead of going through. This sudden contact caused the bell to shatter and propel Big Al through the portal completely unprotected. At first, he thought he was a goner, but something else happened. Something that might have made a swift end seem preferable. Oh my god, I did it! I finally reached the void! You kinda look like me.
Hello, little bangle.
Little Bangle? That's what my mom used to call me as a kid. How do you know that? I'm leaving! Big Al books it back through the portal, falling through the wall of Lohk and onto the floor of his lab. But while he entered the void just fine, the strain of leaving it and then proceeding to fall onto the very sharp shards of the shattered Seraglass Bell caused some complications. Long story short, his voice gone, his sight Stevie Wonder, and his skin crispy like bacon, which is not what skin is supposed to do. And at the same time, he can somehow feel that creepy doppelganger following him, beginning to reach its hand through the portal into our world. So what does he do? He can't call for help. Well, it's very simple. You see, he takes one of the Seraglass shards, goes ah on his hand, and uses, well, nature's ink to write a message on the floor telling his daughter to close the portal. His daughter does so, the portal cutting off several of the doppelganger's fingers as it closes. Horrifying but useful, we'll come back to those fingers later. Big Al lays there on his lab floor, his body nearly broken. But he's done it. He has accessed the void. And with that, the age of void technology is ready to begin. And that, lorelings, is where we are going to put a pin in Big Al's story for now. I hope you all enjoyed.
I'm next.
Oh, hey, you're the creepy dude that Big Al saw in the void.
I'm next, kiddo. My lore, that is.
Buddy, I'm sorry. I already got beef with the stalker, apparently, so you might have to wait your turn. All right. Okay. Just chill. Fine. You'll be the next Warframe one.
Good. See you all soon.